Welcome to the ECD 549 narrated presentation addressing various components of learning and motivation. There is a strong correlation between motivation and learning. Researchers have consistently reported that students' motivational orientation has significant influence on their use of learning strategies. This motivation includes attributes such as self-determination, autonomy, achievement goals, and self-efficacy. There are two different types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation involves engaging in a behavior because it is personally rewarding, essentially performing an activity for its own sake, rather than the desire for some external reward. For example, reading a book because you find it interesting, or playing a sport simply because you enjoy it. Extrinsic motivation occurs when we are motivated to perform a behavior or engage in an activity to earn a reward or to avoid punishment. For example, studying for a test because you want the good grade or because you've been promised a reward if you earn a certain score. Or perhaps studying for a certain test to avoid a promised punishment. An example would also be competing in a sport for the sake of earning an award or a scholarship. Both types of motivation can lead to the same result, but they are inherently very different. There are two forms of associative learning, classical and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning, originally discovered by Russian psychologist Ivan Pavlov, is a learning process that involves forming an association between two stimuli, resulting in a learned response. We've heard about the experiment ringing a bell and the dog salivating. Classical conditioning strongly influenced the theory of behaviorism. In alignment with the principles of classical conditioning, behaviorism posits that all learning occurs through interactions with the environment and that the environment shapes our behaviors. B.F. Skinner coined the term operant conditioning to refer to his theory of how behavior is changed. Skinner felt that classical conditioning theory was just too simplistic to fully explain complex human behaviors. Rather, he suggested that in the broadest sense, there are four ways to change behavior: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. In a nutshell, operant conditioning can be described as using the ABCs: antecedent, behavior, consequence. Simply stated, A refers to the antecedent, or the event or activity that immediately precedes the problem behavior. The B refers to the observed behavior, and the C, the consequence, or the event that immediately follows the response. Situated learning is an instructional approach developed in the early 1990s that followed along the lines of the work of Dewey, Vygotsky, and others who claim that students are more inclined to learn by actively participating in the learning experience, constructivism. Situated learning essentially is a matter of creating meaning from the real activities of daily living where learning occurs and making that relative to the teaching environment. Social interaction is a critical component of situated learning. Learners become involved in a community of practice which embodies certain beliefs and behaviors to be acquired. Situated learning theory poses that knowledge needs to be presented in an authentic context and requires social interaction and collaboration. Independent of which learning theory you most relate to, a universal truth remains: our students cannot learn when their basic needs are not met. Humanistic psychologist Abraham Maslow created a hierarchy to address this, claiming that before individuals can meet their full potential, they need to satisfy a series of needs. In a classroom, this means our students' physiological needs must be met first. Food, water, sleep, basic needs of shelter, all are essential before we can ask them to master any content. The next stage is safety. Does the student feel safe at home, at school, in the classroom? Do they have a feeling of love and belonging? When these pieces are all in place, then students can thrive with self-esteem. Maslow's final stage is self-actualization. This is where the students can achieve and create their fullest potential. Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck promotes the idea that mindset plays a key role in our motivation and achievement, and that if we change mindsets, we can boost achievement. According to Dweck, in a fixed mindset, students believe their basic abilities, intelligence, and talents are fixed traits. In a growth mindset, students understand that their talents and abilities can be developed through effort, good teaching, and persistence. Understanding the roles and connectivity of learning and motivation help us to create a positive learning environment and sound instructional practices designed to support the whole student. Please continue to review and reflect upon the theories and principles presented in this lesson and make deeper connections to best practice with curriculum, instruction, and assessment.